Hi there. Today I felt invited to talk about the soul's journey on Earth and a question many beings out there on the spiritual path, or especially after an awakening, have in regards to the purpose. This question, what is my purpose? Why did my soul choose to incarnate here on Earth at this time? That's probably a question sooner or later all of you, the people who watch these videos, or especially after an awakening on the path, sooner or later come across that question. And I always try to view things as non-conceptual as possible, because also within spirituality there are a lot of concepts that we can, or people get lost in, especially the New Age movement, that's often another trap for the mind, to get too lost in like spiritual ideas about what this is all about and what this means and who we are. But I do think in the world of form, when we come here as a divine being, having a human experience, having to use language, navigating within the three-dimensional realm, sometimes we can't avoid a bit of a conceptual way of describing things. And that's what my intention was today with this video, to explore the path of many light beings out there. Many volunteers actually who came here at this very specific point in time on Earth, because time is also relative. Time doesn't really exist in the way the mind perceives it. It's not linear, but let's leave it. If it could get lost in that, what's real, what's not real. But yeah, so the question for many spiritual seekers is very, very big. This: what is my purpose? Why did I came here for? Why did my soul choose to incarnate here at this time? And it's a very valid question and understandable. And I want to share a little bit about my own insights about these past years I've had. Almost the past decade since my Kundalini awakening started. What my insights about that are, and my experiences, and the insights and experiences of the people that I work with in my sessions, and the beautiful souls that I encounter in my life. And I'm sure many of you also have their personal experience with that, which you are very welcome to share in the comments or wherever. So for many light beings, or however you want to call them in the spiritual community, so often we call ourselves star seeds, light workers. There's this idea in our minds that the purpose is something that you outwardly do in life. So it's to do with finding something that you feel passionate about, and then you execute that for the rest of your life. And I absolutely agree with many of us, including myself. Sooner or later we might end up in a position where we are of service to others, for example, of service to the collective. Some of us become counselors, energy healers, herbalists, content creators. Some of us get involved with some sort of environmental stuff, you know, anything that to the being feels being of some kind of service to the world, to other beings. And that's natural if you're on the spiritual path, especially after an awakening. That's probably most likely you will end up feeling called towards something like that. But that's very beautiful, and we can manifest that, and we can express our unique soul imprint with doing that. But that's not what I'm actually talking about in this video. In this video, it's really about the subtle energetic level and the difference we can make with our inner process, the alchemy of our inner healing, if we're fully committed to it, and how much of an impact that actually has for the collective field. Because what's happening right now, and I'm sure you've all come across that, is that the earth is at a very critical point in time. There's a shift in consciousness happening here on earth, and many people call it the shift into the new earth. And in some new age approaches, they call it we're shifting from 3D into 5D. Whatever your idea is, that's all fine. But there is an actual shift going on, and I feel the ones amongst you who are tapped into their own alchemical inner alchemy process, you can actually feel it, of course, in the collective. And there's never been, the forces on earth have never been more extreme. Like on the one hand, there's like extreme unconsciousness going on, like in the way the human unconsciousness manifests right now on planet Earth has never been more extreme. And on the other hand of the spectrum, we also observe so much awareness and increasing consciousness, and the unconditional love that comes through more and more in people, and wanting to actually meet each other also in a communal way, and they want to contribute to this shift. So these like polar forces, they are very extreme right now, and I'm sure that the ones on the path amongst you can all feel that. And so it's beautiful if we're outwardly doing something that contributes, like in a practical way, like I mentioned earlier. But the thing that's way, way more important is that when you're fully committed to your awakening path, whether you have Kundalini or whatever path you're on spiritually, you know, where you become your truest self, like you walk the path of truth, let's call it that way. If you're committed to walk the path of truth, and if you're dedicated to your inner transformation and your healing, and you do your shadow work, then energetically that has an influence on the collective field. So what we do internally with our healing directly influences the collective earth field. And we might not always be aware of it, because it happens on a plane of existence or in a realm that we can't perceive with the senses, or the mind would never be able to understand these like internal, external, intertwined processes. But if you want to really find a purpose and why you came here and to volunteer at this time on planet Earth, That's the purpose of we're shifting inwardly, and so we're contributing to the shift in the external. If you can even separate those. I'm not sure, probably not. And so Dolores Cannon, for example, very beautifully in her books, she talks about these 3 waves of volunteers that come to Earth. And those are souls that chose to come here because they wanted to assist with this shift in consciousness. And there's no soul path like another, every volunteer that's come here experiences this shift in a different way, and we contribute in many little different ways. So what I find so powerful is this realization of how our energy actually affects our environment. Let's say for some people, like some light beings, we're actually literal energy transmuters. Like we go somewhere, a public place, a shopping mall, whatever it is, and by us just being there, we contribute to the energy field of that area. And Dolores Cannon also, she says that we're actually leaving blueprints wherever we go with our energy. And I do believe if more of the spiritual seekers and light beings knew about how much of an impact we actually do have with our inner alchemy and the outer alchemy, then many spiritual seekers would maybe stop searching so desperately for this, what is my purpose, what am I supposed to do here on earth, if they actually knew what they're already contributing to the shift. And that to me is one of the key realizations on this path. Sometimes it might be as simple as you have a conversation with a random stranger, and then in that conversation something was actually transmuted for that person healing wise because of your presence. And that's already enough, That's also this knowing that by us being here, by us being fully committed to this path, that's all we're asked for, that's all God is basically asking you for. To walk the path of truth. And then whether you want to additionally do something of service in the external, that's of course beautiful too. But that will then naturally manifest after a while without having to forcefully find a purpose. I'm sure that you know what I mean. So that's the actual reason we came here. And what I talked about earlier with the non-conceptual way of thinking, I do believe that there's a truth on the level of the relative and the truth on the level of the absolute. And of course, on the level of the absolute, we're all one. We're all one consciousness. There's no differences, like we're all off source. And that's the ultimate truth, of course, but I still do feel that there are some people in the world right now that they have a specific type of volunteering mission here on earth right now, and others might not. That doesn't make us any better or different, or it's just that on the level of the relative truth, I feel that there's a lot of the folks that are awakening right now. There's so many volunteer light beings out there who actually want to contribute to this shift. And I'm sure sooner or later everyone who does that will become aware of it. So that's as conceptual as I would want to go in this video, probably. So yeah, if you have any comments you'd like to leave, or own experiences or questions, you're very welcome to do that. You can also send me an email, and I'll leave it at that for today. I think I shared what I wanted to share. Namaste.